tent above a person sitting on a couch. And after the cleaning, we realized that this person was not holding with a pole a tent, but was holding a whisk, a flabellum, made out of peacock feathers. Very beautiful details here. I also want to encourage you to see these amazing blues, which are a big surprise out of this yellowish background. These blues are lapis lazuli. Real lapis lazuli, crushed lapis lazuli, and then mixed with other pigments. So extremely lavish, extremely expensive, because lapis lazuli only comes from Afghanistan, this part of the world. Another surprise, of course, was to reinterpret this figure not as a woman, and it was interpreted by scholars as either the wife of the favorite of the caliph, but as a man. With a big beard, so we have here the caliph himself, or a prince, and we think that it is a prince. Okay, this is actually also very interesting. These are on the lunette on top of the wall. These are two figures that were not very clear before conservation. Now they are. One is in Greek descriptions. One is a iota, omicron, io, and the other one has omicron, nas, onas. Well, we think that here we have two prophets that are mentioned both in the Bible and the Quran. In the Bible, they will be Prophet Job and Prophet Jonah, and in the Quran, they are Ayub and Yunus. So why they are there, we don't know. But we are pretty sure that especially this one is Jonah, because we have parallels to this figure. This figure is representing us sleeping in the classical position of holding his head with an arm like that. This is the classical position of sleeping. Well, we have from 3rd and 4th century parallels. The figure of Jonah sleeping under a tree, which is the episode where Jonah goes to Nineveh, and to try to convert the people from Nineveh today, to the religion of God. And then he falls. He's very tired, and he falls asleep. And God makes a tree grow over him to protect him from the sun. So we have here a very specific story that is narrated both in the Bible and in the Quran, and has parallels in these early Christian, Paleo-Christian paintings. We also have an inscription which was unreadable before our intervention. This was the condition before, and this is after. Beautiful Kufic inscription, which has the name of the prince that has commissioned the monument. It's Walid ibn Yazid. Walid ibn Yazid becomes caliph in 743 with the name of Walid II. However, he's only caliph for 1 year. He's killed in a palace coup just after 1 year of his reign. So what we think then is that it's not when he commissions Qusayr Amra, is a prince. He's a crown prince. He's the crown prince for 20 years because his uncle Hisham is a caliph from 723 to 743. So we have here an evidence of pretty much precise dating of the building between those in those 20 years. Another evidence that he was not a caliph when this building was decorated is that he doesn't call himself with the typical formula of the caliphs, which is Prince of the Believers, Amir al-Muslimin. He calls himself he says that is virtuous, please make him. So it's basically not calling himself a caliph, So these are all elements that point to the fact that we should look at it as the time of being crown prince and not after. Look at the difference between the before and after, for example, of these peacocks. I mean, there is, the difference is quite amazing, and the details are actually much more visible now. Or these scenes, which is the central scene of the caliph on the couch, surrounded by some figures, and look at the after. It's actually quite extraordinary. Now we know that, for example, this person that before could barely be seen or recognized is actually a scribe, which holds a parchment where he's writing something on top of it, and this is a pen, an ink holder with a pen holder. So details that could not be seen before are now quite clear. This hat also was not very clear, and so on and so forth. The details of the garments are also quite extraordinary. And here, this is the before and after the intervention on this wall. We also have now a better understanding of this false marble area, but also of this inscription, which is quite extraordinary. It's a tabula ansata, which in Roman times and in Byzantine times identify imperial inscriptions. And this is a tabula ansata inscription in Arabic, Kufic Arabic, which has a basmala formula, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So it's so there is so Walid II has a very let's say that is not the most pious of the caliphs, or probably not the most pious of the Muslims, because he's we think that there is a lot of propaganda from the Abbasid period that narrates him as a person that is not really a believer, that is basically a bad guy, it's not. But all this reference to God and all this, and especially the fact that there is a Bismillah in a tabula ansata, well, we have to think about that now, and this probably is going to rehabilitate a little bit poor Walid II. And this is also another extraordinary discovery. We proceeded with the cleaning of the hunting scene. The top part was completely covered with a thick yellow paint, which we thought that was just hiding lacunae and complete loss of the painting, but we discovered that it's not the case. So in this part that we cleaned, there is the rest of the hunting scene, which was not seen before. So you are among the first to see this one since 1300 years. And the rest of it will start next week to uncover, we'll start to uncover the rest of it just next week. So same thing for the king's scene. I was mentioning before the 6 kings. Look at the difference between before and after, but I want to go into the details. This is the Qusayr that I was mentioning, the Qusayr inscription that was in this position and was detached by Musil in 1900 and brought to Berlin, where it's at the Pergamon Museum today. There are other fragments from this site in Berlin, and actually in a couple of weeks' time I will go there also to take a look at this material and see, also because it's particularly interesting because all this material has been detached before the Spanish intervention. So we can analyze especially some of these paint layers before they were actually impacted by the Spanish intervention. Look at the difference between before and after. This is the repaint of the Spanish, this is the real figures. So this document, this project is going to change the way Umayyad art is going to be understood and interpreted. Before, it was considered like a naive type of art. This is Mantegna, and we're talking about serious work here. The details, the way the hair and the details are described here are absolutely extraordinary. This is more like Renaissance painting than late antique. This is late antique. This is not. So this is really something that has to going to change the way we can interpret and identify Umayyad art. Same thing here. This is the representation of King Khosrow from this Assyrian emperor. Again, very naive, very simple, very quick description, but very complex. The reality is very different. More new things. For example, in the top of the vault, this is the condition before the work, and this is after. There is a trompe-l'oeil kind of architectural details with perspective. I mean, and the perspective is quite correct. So it's so we're talking about a very, these are masters. These are not just painters taken from the street. I mean, so we're talking about a very high type of art here. This is an interesting parallel. One of the in this panel of this arch inside the building, there is a nice representation of a tree, which is almost identical to the representation of a tree that is in the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus. As you can see, same position, same type of foliage, and so on. The difference is that this is mosaic and this is painting, but we're talking about the same motif, basically. And this is the situation as it is today. So the wall that I was mentioning, the third of this large painting with the 6 kings now in their splendor. We are going to proceed with the second part of this between next week and mid-June, when all this other section will be cleaned, including the scene of the woman on the edge of the pool. We also proceeded with elements of site management planning for this site. So we have conducted interviews with the tourists, with the local community, several workshops, and also visits also with experts, and in this case also the Minister of Culture, in order to check the advancement of the work, but also to establish a real site management planning for the site. We enjoy the presence, of course, of experts. We are training also local masons and archaeologists in various techniques of documentation and intervention. We have Professor Gazibisce, who was involved in the 1980s and 1990s work, to come often to the site and give us advice on what we are finding. And so I think that this project really enjoys the presence and the collaboration of all the researchers that are still alive or that have collaborated in the past. For example, Claude Viberguig, that I mentioned before, has come already 3 times to the site to give us also his impression and his ideas on how to proceed. So a truly international project. So it's not. I would not call it just an Italian project, because it's not. And of course, all of this coordinated by the Department of Antiquities of Jordan, which I would like to thank in this circumstance. And this is the end of my lecture, and I'm ready for your questions. Thank you very much.
C'est toujours difficile. Pour revenir sur can you come back to the 2 men that we saw, I think, 3-4 pictures ago? Because I'm very surprised that when you get this one, how come top and bottom?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to believe